Hello friends! I'm so happy you're here. My name is Ware Fujimoto and I am the creator of my crafty lifestyle brand, Freshly Fuji. I have two dogs at home who I just love to craft for, and one of my favorite things is making them accessories. So today we're going to be making these little adorable puppy pouches that can either be used as poop bag dispensers or just a keychain that you can hang on your bag. These are made out of faux leather and they have gold metal accents, so they are super stylish. The best thing about this is that we are going to be making this using our Cricut machines. I'm going to be using my Cricut Maker today, but this project can be adapted to your other machines as well. And because this is a sewing project, we are going to be also using a sewing machine, and you'll need some basic sewing skills. So let's get started. The full list of supplies is shown on this slide. I won't go through all of them in much detail, but I promise once we get going, you'll see how they all work together and you'll learn some new skills along the way. You'll likely already have a bunch of them if you've been doing Cricut crafting or sewing for a while, but I did want to emphasize a few items so you can get the best results. So first I wanted to talk about faux leather. So you'll want to find one that is around 8 inches by 10 inches, just so it can accommodate your pattern. I found this set on Amazon, and this one measures about 7 3/4 and 13 inches, so works great for this project. But you can find a bunch of faux leather options on Etsy as well. Just make sure that they can be cut with Cricut machines. You can often read the reviews to find out. Cricut does make faux leather, but it doesn't come in as much of a variety of colors, so I like to shop around. I also wanted to mention for this little puppy pouch that you will be needing some specific hardware. For the little button closure here, you'll need an 8mm button stud, and this comes in 2 pieces. And you'll want to pick that size so that it will fit the closure properly. If it's too small or too large, it might not fit and it might be loose or too tight. The other thing I wanted to point out is that the clasp that you can purchase online, these ones measure 3/8 of an inch, and that's what I have designed to hold on to this little pouch. So find something similar or a little bit bigger. Hopefully you have already downloaded my pattern and saved it somewhere on your computer. The next thing we're going to do is open Cricut Design Space, and this is the home page. We're going to click on New Project in the right corner, and that will bring up a blank canvas. And the next thing we're going to do is upload that pattern onto the canvas, and to do that we're going to click the Upload button on the left panel. And you're going to click the Upload Image button and then the Browse button. Then you're going to find the pattern wherever you put it on your computer and select it. Then click the Open button. And you'll see that the pattern is populated and it's ready for you to upload. So all you have to do is click the green Upload button. And it'll show up under Recent Upload. So you're just going to select it and then click Add to Canvas. So you'll see that there are a bunch of pieces here, but before we can cut, we're going to need to do a few things. So the pouch is made up of 3 main pieces. There is a larger rectangle piece that makes up the back and the front flap, a smaller rectangle piece for the front, and then notice that there are 2 long rectangular strips, but you're only going to need one. One has a dog bone opening and the other one does not. The one with the dog bone opening, that's so you can dispense poop bags. So we need to decide which one we want to use because we only are going to need one of them. First, make sure that you're clicked on the whole design, and then we're going to click the Ungroup button. So now you're going to decide which one you're going to use. So if you're making a keychain pouch with no opening, you'll save the one on the left. And if you're going to make a poop bag dispenser, you're going to save the one on the right with the little reinforcement piece at the bottom. So since I am going to be making the poop bag dispenser, I'm going to click the one without the opening and click the X to delete it. We also have 2 puppy dog ears and then a little round reinforcement piece for the front part of your pouch. And notice that there are also 2 small gold ovals, and that's going to be to make the eyes out of the gold foil iron-on. Before we can cut anything, I will need to attach a few things. So notice that there's this little slit below the small circular opening for your button. And we're going to need to attach it to this larger rectangle piece so that it will cut in the correct place. So to do that, I'm just dragging over the whole thing, and notice that it highlights it on the right panel. And then you're just going to click the attach button. So now that little slit line is attached to this piece. The next thing I'm going to do is highlight the set of gold eyes. And I am just going to click and drag like I did before, and then click attach. And this will ensure your eyes are spaced out evenly and make it much easier to align and apply. Next, turn on your machine if you haven't already, and you can change your machine by clicking the menu, but today we're going to click the Cricut maker, and then we're going to click the green Make It button. So next, this page will pop up and it's just showing you how many mats we're going to be working with. There's this gold mat that's holding the 2 ovals for the eyes, and then you have a light blue mat that's holding all the pieces to make up the pouch. So since I have already clicked on the light blue mat that's holding the faux leather, I'm just going to move things around because my piece of leather is actually smaller than 12 by 12. So you're just going to click on the menu and find something similar to the piece that you actually have. I'm going to just choose the 8 by 25 by 10. And all you have to do to move things around is just click on the piece and drag it. So I'm just going to move these around so that they just have a little bit more space around them. And if you need to, you can use that little swivel arrow to rotate any pieces. So now everything is rearranged and there's even some leftovers for a future project. I'm going to click the green Continue button. Now the program will begin to connect to your machine. And once it's found it, you can select your base material. So I'm just choosing faux leather. It's already under my favorites menu, but if you need to find it, you can click the Browse All Materials section and look for it there. So just click on faux leather. Now I'm going to place my sheet of faux leather that I've already cut to size to fit my pattern, and I'm going to place it down onto my strong grip mat. And I'm just lining it up to match exactly how I had it on the screen. You might have to adjust this a little bit as you go. And then if you want, you can use the brayer to make sure it's completely flat and stuck down. Next, I'm going to open my machine and make sure that my fine point blade is loaded in to clamp B. And then I'm going to put the mat right here along the guides. And then I'm going to click the flashing arrow. And that will load the mat in. In a few seconds, the little Cricut Go light will be flashing, so I'm just going to select that and that will begin your cut. Once your machine has finished cutting, I just like to take a quick peek to make sure it went all the way through. And it looks like it did cut through, so I'm going to press the flashing arrow button to unload the mat. Next, we are going to cut the gold foil iron-on, but first we need to change the material because you'll see that it's defaulted to the faux leather that we just cut. So we're just going to click on that, and then we are going to set it to foil iron-on. Again, you can find it in the Browse All Materials tab. So because iron-on is cut on the reverse side, the program is asking us to make sure the mirror is turned on. But for this project, you'll notice that the eyes are reversible either way, so I won't need to do that. If you did want to mirror something in the future, you can click Edit and turn the mirror on or off. But for this project, it doesn't really matter, so I'm just going to click out of that. So now I'm going to get my foil iron-on. And I already cut a little piece here. This is great for using up scraps. I am just going to flip it over so that shiny gold foil side is down. And I'm going to place it in the corner of my mat to match up what it says on Design Space. And just like with the faux leather, I'm going to open up the machine. Click the arrow to load it. And then once the button is flashing, press go. Then just unload it by pressing the arrow button. Now that we have everything cut, I'm going to weed the pieces from the mat, and to do that for the faux leather one, I'm just gonna take a corner and slowly peel it off. And now I'm just going to peel off all of the pieces, and you'll see that the openings will be left behind. And sometimes for these smaller pieces, you can use a little weeder tool to help lift them up. And I'm just gonna do the same thing for the foil iron-on. So I'm gonna rotate it so you guys can see. And I'm just using my weeder tool and picking up a corner and then peeling it off. And that leaves behind the two gold eyes. Then you just lift the liner off the mat like so. So now that we've cut everything out, we can start to assemble everything. Now this step is totally not necessary if you're just going to be making a pouch with no opening, but if you are going to be making a poop bag dispenser, we are going to need to reinforce the opening here. To do that, I am going to take the long rectangular strip and flip it over. And then the little rectangular piece with the bone cut out, I'm also going to flip that over. And we are going to be using E6000, which is a flexible permanent glue, to attach it. So to do that, I'm just going to remove the cap. I like to do this on a little plate because sometimes the glue can ooze out. So I'm just going to apply some glue around the opening. And now I'm going to take that piece and flip it over and place it right so it aligns with the other bone opening. You can use a little paper towel to dab off any excess glue. And then check the back side as well. Now we're just going to wait for this piece to set. It should start getting sticky within the next 10 minutes, but ideally you want to wait an hour or two so that it's totally stuck on there and it won't shift around. So once the glue has completely dried, now we can begin to assemble our pouch. The first thing we're going to do is attach the clasp. So using that little small strip at the end, I'm just going to insert that through the opening in the clasp. And I'm folding it over about 1/2 inch. and then I'm just gonna clip it in place. And now what I'm gonna do is use a piece of washi tape. And that's going to help hold down the strip so that your sewing machine can sew over it smoothly. Now just sew the strip in place and make sure to backstitch. Once you've sewn on the clasp, now you can begin to assemble the pouch. So I'm going to put that larger rectangle piece down, and then I'm placing the rectangular strip with the faux leather side down. So notice that both of the leather sides are touching and it's aligning with that little notch in the corner right there. And I'm just going to use a sewing clip to clip the pieces together. You don't want to use any pins because they'll make holes in the leather. And then when you get to the corner, you just kind of curve it to match the curvature, and then a little pleat will form, so you're just gonna clip that little pleat into place. And then I'm just gonna keep working around the pouch until I get to the end. You can keep adjusting it as you go. Just make sure that the end of the strip there matches the little corner on the back piece. And now that this is all clipped into place, we can just sew around the edges. So I'm back stitching at the beginning, and then you're going to want to just take your time sewing around the piece, especially when you get to the corner. You can kind of lift up your foot to help you rotate it. And I am using 1/4 of an inch seam allowance here, and note that I'm just removing the clips as I go, and then once you get to the end, it should kind of match up with the end of the little notch right there. Now that that bottom piece is sewn, we can start to attach it to the front piece, and to do that, I'm going to do the exact same thing. So I'm putting the small rectangle down and then flipping this over, so the other side of the rectangle will make contact with the edge. So again, I'm just lining it up on the corner here. This is what it looks like in the back. And I'm just clipping that into place. And we're just going to repeat the same thing we did on the other side. And again, we are just sewing around the edges with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Making sure you backstitch at the beginning and the end. Now that we finished sewing the body of your pouch, we're going to flip it so the right side is out. And you'll notice that there's some puckering at the corner, and that's totally normal. The next thing we're going to do is take the little circular reinforcement piece, and we're going to take the screw end of your button stud, and you're going to just stick the screw end through the little circle. And then we're going to take this whole thing and thread it through the circle in the front section from the back, like so. We'll flip it the whole thing over again to the front, and then you're going to take the button stud, and then we're simply going to screw it on there until it's nice and tight. Next, we're going to attach the 2 little ears, and to do that, I'm just going to flip over the piece so it is flat on the table. And then I'm going to place these down, and I'm measuring about 1.25 inches from where that the seam meets. So I'm just gonna clip that into place, and then I'm gonna repeat that on the other side. And before I do anything else, I just want to test it to see if I'm liking the placement. And that looks pretty good to me. Similar to what we did before, I'm just going to take a little piece of washi tape and I'm just going to put that on the top edges of the ears just to help hold the two pieces together and make it easier to sew. So next I'm taking a Sharpie and just making a line where I want the thread to go, because it's kind of hard to see through the washi tape. Now you can just sew over the Sharpie lines you made. Carefully remove the washi tape, making sure not to tear any of the threads. And then trim off any loose threads. Now we're finally on the last step, which is to apply the gold foil iron-on to the flap in the front. But first I'm just gonna trim this a little bit. The next thing I'm gonna do is turn on my Easy Press Mini on the lowest setting. And once it's green, that means that it's ready to go. So now that it is heated to the correct temperature, I'm going to get a white pressing cloth, and this is just a square of cotton, and I'm going to place it over the section where the eyes will go. And then you're just going to preheat it really lightly, like maybe 5 seconds. And you want to move this around so you don't create any unsightly markings. I'm gonna just remove the pressing cloth for a second. And then I'm going to position the eyes. And before I do anything, I like to just always test it to make sure I'm liking the placement. I'm thinking that looks pretty good. Again, you can always measure it if it makes you feel better. Now I'm going to put the pressing cloth back on that section, and we're going to lightly press with the Easy Press Mini for about a total of 30 seconds. Now you want to do this really lightly so that you're not making any imprints, because you can make imprints from the liner. I've done it. And note that I'm just moving the little mini iron around. And now I'm just going to wait until it's completely cool. Now that it's completely cool, I'm just going to peel off the liner. Now your little puppy pouch is complete. If you're going to use this as a poop bag dispenser, all you have to do is take your little roll of plastic bags and stick it inside, and then you're gonna pull one end out through that dog bone opening in the bottom. And then it just closes like so. If you decided that you just wanted to make a plain little pouch, you can do the same thing. Just try not to put anything too small, but I do find that hand sanitizer or like big lip balms do fit in here nicely. I hope you had fun learning how to make this puppy pouch using your Cricut maker. Before you go, I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to be sharing more designs like this one with my email list. So make sure you click the link to subscribe to find out what's new and get access to my latest projects. Happy crafting!